Interesting. Prabhupada makes the point that modern society even enables one to forget the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not just to forget the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but to forget His grace and mercy. They're enabling, facilitating, yes, helping people to forget the mercy of the Lord. You know, there's a famous story which one devotee dreamed up. There's a few of them in this regard. One devotee had an appointment in the center of a city for something. And it was time-bound. He had to be there on time, otherwise he missed out on something important. So he drove into town, and now he's trying to find a parking place on the block where the place is meant to have his meeting is situated. But he couldn't find a parking place. He goes to another one time, can't find a parking place. So, now he feels gosh. First of all, he's thinking, yeah, just parking. Goes to my meeting, but now can't find a parking place. So what did he do? As all good devotees do, he prayed to Krishna. Krishna, please, help me find a parking place. And he drove around the block again. No parking place. So, again he prayed to Krishna, please Krishna, please help me to find a parking place, please. This is important. And he drove around the block again. No parking place. So then he prayed to Krishna, Krishna, you know what? If you help me, if you let me find a parking place, I will follow every Ekadasi without fail. I will chant all my rounds every day. And I will read Prabhupada's books every day for at least half an hour. But please, let me find a parking place around the block again. And there's a parking place. And he drove in. And as he drove into park, he thought, I'm really glad I found a parking place. If you get the idea, did you get the idea? I'm really glad I found a parking place. Patting himself on the back. Yes. So modern society is constructed, organized in such a way systematically, in detail, to help you, to bring, it's almost not just to help you to forget the Lord, but to make it almost impossible for you to not forget the Lord. It's just so the energy, the impetus to forget the Lord is so strong. You have to be pretty determined to remember Him. Just by the way modern society is, the consumer society, and the systems of working, and political systems, and the production of so many, too many things. And like the internet, too much information. You know, there's a saying from the old days, knowledge is power. But now there's just so much knowledge there. It's like you just become overwhelmed with knowledge, and you become dysfunctional because you know too many ways to do one thing. So it's working like that. And not just forget the Lord, but as Prabhupada says, It enables one even to forget the Lord's grace and mercy, which is a great shame because there is so much grace and mercy, just so much grace and mercy for someone who is not overwhelmed by just everything in modern society. The Lord's grace and mercy is basically obvious. You'd have to be a fool or something antagonistic towards the Lord to not see it. It's right there in front of your face in so many ways. After all, by His arrangement, we have these bodies. And then we have the facilities for these bodies, and so on and so forth. And it's all coming, at least ultimately, by the grace, by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But modern society facilitates, encourages us strongly. Not just encourages us, but it almost forces us to not think about grace and mercy, but just to think about how we can do this, how we can do that, and intelligent arrangements that man has made. Another little story you might have heard of, and I don't know if it came from Prabhupada, but Prabhupada heard it, is that the man was fixing his roof on his two-story house, and it's on the roof's on an angle. So he has to watch out, but somehow or other he slips. And as he's sliding down the roof and he's about to go over the edge and just get smashed 2 stories down, he prays, "Oh God, save me, please." And then he goes over the edge, but his overalls catch on some big nail or some big something which is sticking out, and he's caught and he's saved. And he thinks, "Gosh, I'm so glad I put that nail there." Anyway, yes. Krishna. It's amazing. So then Prabhupada makes another point, which is really extremely important, that consequently, because human society is arranged in all these ways which facilitate and encourage forgetfulness of the Lord and His mercy and anything to do with that, therefore, consequently, modern civilized man is always unhappy and in need of things. And particularly because people don't know that the ultimate goal of life is to approach Lord Vishnu and to satisfy Him. They've taken the materialistic way of life, the consumer way of life, as everything. And they've become captivated, captured. They've been caught. And to the point they can't escape. They've been caught by materialistic activities. And then, to make it worse, you could say, or just part of the whole formula, is that the leaders, or the so-called leaders, are encouraging that. Yes, that we, the leaders, the government, we will facilitate more production and more work so you can get more money and just live more and just enjoy more. I've mentioned many times when I was a child, early youth, something like that, I saw a television show documentary about J. Paul Getty, who at the time was the richest person on the planet. And in this documentary, the interviewer asked him, "Mr. Getty, do you have a philosophy of life?" And Mr. Getty said, "Yes, I do, actually. I have a philosophy of life. My philosophy can be summed up in one word: more." And that's sort of, in a nutshell, that's the essence of it all, not just for him, but for everybody. So, but unfortunately, even though these leaders, these so-called leaders, they make so many wrong decisions, it's crazy. Like now in England, so many people are regretting exiting from the European Union. Many people are regretting it. Majority of people are regretting it. And they see it was stupid. It was a stupid mistake. But the problem in that regard is that the people in general still follow those leaders. They still follow those leaders. It's amazing. Even though every government that has existed in the history, like at least in the history of democracy, every government which has existed has been kicked out in due course. Every single one, they've been kicked out. But then they sort of reincarnate themselves a bit, and the people vote for them again. Hare Krishna. Anyway, we're not really so interested in politics, but this is what's going on. So Prabhupada makes the point, concluding the purport, in order to rectify this world situation, all people should be trained in Krishna consciousness and act in accordance with the Varnashram system. The state should see, the government, that the people are engaged in satisfying the Lord. And Prabhupada makes the point, this is the primary duty of the state. Prabhupada makes this point on a number of occasions. The state, the government, has many duties. They have to manage the finances, they have to manage the military, the security of the nation. They have to manage so many things, the water supply and whatnot. But actually, the primary duty of the government is to see that people are engaged in satisfying the Lord. Other things are secondary or even beyond secondary. So this is why Prabhupada makes the point, this is why the Krishna consciousness movement was started, to convince, anyone as much as possible, including the government, if we can convince the governments, great, but actually to convince the general populace, because if the general populace become convinced, they're the ones who appoint the governments. So if the general populace becomes convinced enough of Krishna consciousness and doing everything to satisfy the Lord, then they're not going to vote for these other, crazy people who just really, literally don't know what they're doing. Yes, so the Krishna consciousness movement was started to convince the general populace to adopt the best process by which to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus solve all problems. Otherwise, they'll continue to be unhappy. And be forced into situations where they just fail in their lives and they just get into useless positions in life. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Any comments or questions, Maharaj? Correction, chastisement, words of wisdom.
Also, the Supreme Lord said,
Thank you. Thank you. That's good. Shri Prabhu.
That idea of war seems to be all-pervading. There was one, I never actually heard the song, but somebody told me there was a country song where the person saying that I'm just a very simple man. I really only need 4 things. Older whiskey, younger women, faster cars, and more money. But that more does work well when it's in Krishna consciousness. I find more chanting and more reading seems to work out.
Right.
So that will work in the right place.
Right. Thank you.
And very badly in the wrong place.
All right. Thank you very much. Mother Jane. Radha Thakurani.
So the question is that it's not that we take pleasure in serving the Lord and that we serve the Lord, but it's that we get into the consciousness of us spontaneously wanting to serve the Lord, that it's not just we do it on a duty, that we should at some point spontaneously, beyond duty, serve the Lord.
That's a comment. Well, okay. Yeah. Spontaneously is an advanced level. But at least we should do it. At least we should do it. One way or the other. No, what is it? Yena kena prakarena mana Krishna naveshayet. Something like that, Rupa Goswami said. What, in this way, or in that way, or in some way, think of Krishna. But yes, the more spontaneously we can do it, the better. But it's a more advanced level. And we should, but it's good if we like doing the service we're doing. Yeah, we're happy doing it. You know, back in the old days in England, for a brief period of time, there was a philosophy in our temple in London that if you like doing a service, you shouldn't do it, because then it'll just be sense gratification. So you should find a service you really don't like doing, and you should do that, so then you can be detached and, just do it because you have to. But it's not really our philosophy. But what we're asked to do, we should try to do, and generally we can do what we're asked to do because Krishna gives some mercy. And even sometimes we're asked to do something we've never done before and we never thought of doing, and then we think of doing it and we think, gosh, I don't think I can do that. But then if we try, then we get some mercy and we can do it. So we are primarily rendering service on the basis of rules and regulations, the order of higher authority. And if we carry on doing like that, gradually spontaneity will manifest more and more. Yes. Is that okay? Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.